Yes. Hey, Madeline.
Hi there, how's it going?
Great. How about you today?
Oh, good, good. Just Friday afternoon, wrapping up some loose ends.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do our live. I'm actually from the Innovator MD. I found a little conference room that's nice and quiet here.
Oh, good.
But I'm super excited to have you on today's episode of Ask a Specialist. And so we're talking about kickstarting your digestive health with Madeline,
Absolutely.
the founder of Begin Health. So with that, Madeline, go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience.
Oh, great. Well, thank you so much again for having me on. We have a lot in common here with our fascination with the gut microbiome in early age. So I'm Madeline Lauf. I'm the founder of Begin Health. We are a toddler and kids nutrition health company, and we're first focused on the gut microbiome and nourishing those little bellies as they grow up and really navigate the world with a really strong foundational health. So that's what we do. We brought a team together of nutrition scientists, pediatricians, and gastroenterologists, and really started diving deep into the challenges that kids are facing these days with respect to the gut microbiome and how connected it is to overall health. And so that's kind of why we got started in this category.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So for those of joining and maybe aren't familiar, my background is actually I'm a nurse practitioner, but I was studying the microbiome of pre-infants in my PhD, and I was really blown away by the fatalities that were actually caused in preterm infancy because of an imbalance of gut bacteria. And so, I say from that perspective, and it informs your immune system, good bacteria, how to think and function, like moving forward for the rest of your life. Once you make it past that critical pregnancy, you really need that good bacteria to essentially help heal the lining of the gut. When you come out so tiny, it's and oftentimes that can result in necrotitis and sepsis. And so, just to give people a foundation, our commonality is I wanted to approach the market by making breastfeeding as easy as possible. Because as you know, those HMOs and that good bacteria is critical for making sure you have the best start to life. And so can you tell me a little bit more about your founder journey and sort of like the gap in industry that you recognize that led you to start Begin Health?
Absolutely. So I was really, I suffered from a gut, imbalance myself for about 3 years. I was struggling with, I was having just massive issues. And unfortunately, I went to the doctor and they wanted to put me on prescription drugs for the rest of my life. And so I was just like, there has to be another way. And unfortunately, they're like, well, I guess you could make some of these lifestyle changes. But, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try those. And I did try those lifestyle changes. And, what ended up happening was that I ended up actually healing my own gut microbiome. And through this research, and so it turned out I didn't need the prescription medication, you know? And so ultimately, I started really digging deep into this category essentially and finding out that actually the most impactful time for healing our guts is truly at the beginning of early ages, basically up until age 8. And it was like, well, yes, you and I, we can optimize our gut health, and we absolutely, I say, let's do daily gut health positive habits. But which I love, and I'm happy to talk all about those. But at the end of the day, the biggest opportunity for impact is at the earliest of ages, and making sure that those gut microbiomes are absolutely nourished in the optimal way. And modern life is really hard on that developing little gut. It's hard for parents, and similar to we can talk a lot about one of the key factors, which your company is really addressing, which is phenomenal. But you just add on the, whether it's the rising C-section births, whether it's the rampant antibiotic usage among kids. I think the statistic was, I think by age 2, the majority of kids will have had 3 rounds of antibiotics. And you're talking about, and then we just say the bombardment of the poor diets, right? That you can't escape. Yeah. And so all of a sudden you have all of these factors that are really just kind of beating up those little guts. And so our company is really focused on how can we be a partner to parents, both through our product, but also through education, through encouragement, support, for finding more routines that you can give in that daily schedule that do really nourish the gut microbiome, that go beyond just our prebiotic, right? Are you doing sufficient water? Are you doing, how are you taking fiber during the day? Like those types of things.
Absolutely. And Madeline, 100% nailed it, because when we go back to the vision and the mission for the Natural Nipple, it's really making sure that these preventative resources to better the health of the next generation are made available. And you're so right. Like, we were looking at essentially, what are the modifiable factors? What can we control for? And you can't control if you have to have an emergency necessarily, or pairing your antibiotics. Control what you put in your baby's body and in your body, though. And we know that breast milk is huge for establishing microbiome. But then that's why I really opposed you with Begin Health, because that to me is easy. Sometimes we're going back to work in the U.S. like 6 weeks of maternity leave, if that.
Absolutely. It's hard.
Exactly. And so when you're introducing other bottles or products, that's where we really see the drop off. We did research with the National Science Foundation, because you can get latch impression from bottles that aren't like your Shape, Feel, and Glow. And so it can be challenging if you need your partner to help you feed to deliver milk, or you even need supplement and perhaps use health as a supplement. And that's why I love that you offer probiotics and HMOs as well, because those human milk oligosaccharides are really, like, you can add in all the good bacteria that you want, but you also need building blocks in the food. It's like you get flowers and you don't want them to die right away, so you add that food at the bottom, and that's like what the good bacteria. And
absolutely,
you nailed it. You're like, let's focus on critical first 3 years. And that's just what we need. You essentially establish a signature gut microbiome that really does dictate your metabolism, the kind of neurotransmitters you're going to have. So literally we're talking about like mood, anxiety, depression, moving forward by the bacteria that you have in your body. And your gut lining is essentially like real estate, right? So
I like that.
Gut bacteria, and they're vying for this space, right? So if you're laying down a foundation that is filled with gram-negative bacteria, like proteobacteria, it can be really hard to overtake that space. And so that's why we offer a gut microbiome analysis for parents that have elimination and are trying to figure out why their baby's so fussy and colicky. And we often recommend, if we notice and you get an at-home stool analysis, you can actually see the bacteria that's living inside your milk. And we can say, okay, wait, head on over to Begin Health, because it looks like we need to supplement with this particular kind of probiotic. And so that was long-winded, but I know you know why I got here. But how do you message that to your customers? That they're coming in with, but how are you tailoring what you're offering? Because it is so critical. We know that from a clinical.
Absolutely. And at the time too, the research is very new, so it's parents are finding out about probiotics. I would say that one's a little bit more prevalent in terms of just widespread knowledge. I think prebiotics, it's still very new. And so just for anyone out there that is interested in the difference, the probiotics are the living organisms themselves, and the prebiotics we really consider the food for those good gut bugs. And so by putting those together, as you mentioned, we always use the kind of like the imagery of like a little garden, as you were mentioning, right? Where it is that fertilizer for the living organisms. And so, that's just generally how we think about it. And so for the messaging piece for parents, we've really identified at least this go-to-market piece with parents that are coming to us that are struggling. And they're struggling because one of the first key biomarkers that, is a biomarker for your health is actually your stool. And so parents actually come to us because they know something's off. They may not know necessarily that there's an imbalance of the good gut bugs versus the bad gut bugs. And, there might be these other chronic challenges that may come later. What they're noticing now is that their child is struggling to poop. It is very straightforward. They've potentially gone to the doctor or even further, the GI doctor, and their child is gone days. Maybe even, we've heard 12, 15 days of kids not going to the bathroom. They're withholding patterns and behaviors. So these are some of the key signs that parents are noticing that they say, you know what, I think something's wrong. I need to look into this. And so that's kind of where they find Begin, because Begin is now a solution that helps their child, yes, nourish the gut microbiome most importantly, but at the same time actually help soften stool through the 3 grams of fiber that we deliver in every single serving. And so in a really helpful way between the chicory root fiber in our product and the human milk oligosaccharide, as you referenced earlier. And so these ingredients are really built specifically for toddlers and kids at the right dose with the right efficacy to help enable the softer stooling that ultimately leads to more regular stooling and more comfortable stooling and happy bellies, right? And so if a child is no longer scared to go to the bathroom, they no longer withhold. And so they're no longer, they are trying to build those more routine patterns, which was fabulous. Mm-hmm. And so that's really, where we try to be a partner of parents is we're helping you have softer stool. And that's what we do in a helpful way. And I would say that many of our customers are actually transitioning off of daily laxatives.
And this is like, Madeline, I love how you broke it down. It's like you're noticing something's off with the poop. Like it's that simple.
Exactly.
And to be totally transparent, like what led me down my journey of studying the gut microbiome was also my own digestive issues. And so when you have an imbalance of gut bacteria, a good proportion of what we call the commensal or the good to maybe some of the, we've got C. diff and stuff that can live there at like lower phyla proportions. You can also have other symptoms like cramping. You can just have like general irritability and bloating. You could be picking up on diarrhea. Like I've had parents that have come through who were referred because, they believe their baby's allergic to something. Intensive elimination diets. I'm like, whoa, how are you surviving off of, everything that you've cut out? It's like no chicken, no corn, no wheat, no dairy, like some no millet, like, and what we're finding is as well, like you can end up with just like poop stinks out there, like something is wrong. Like this is very, 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 very smelly, like different than usual. And so I think that those are other indicators that parents can look for and be like, oh wait, this is something we can actually correct. Because like you said yourself, we have the ability to do that rehab. Like when all this inflammation going on, and we've, even as an infant, when they've struggled with diarrhea or constipation, what's happening is that when there is inflammation and bad bacteria, it gets more gut junction increase. So that means toxins can enter the bloodstream, which is why you want to quickly correct and introduce the prebiotics as well as the good bacteria, because along with some short chain fatty acids, right? Because that can actually help close up and heal gut rehab, literally healing the lining of your gut. And so you can really address those issues, and you want to look out for those signs sooner rather than later, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's why, we stress the importance of really nourishing and taking care of our guts, and that goes for parents too, right? And it is not just, a single, yes, we love that you love vegan, great for our parents, but it's more than that, right? It's how can we really bring in that holistic lifestyle in our diets, making sure that, to your point, like the food that we are consuming is really building up that mucosal layer in the gut, right? So that the bugs or anything, the toxins do not escape. And so what are some of the other habits that your family is really incorporating, right? Are we maintaining the hydration levels as we talked about? What are some other gut health positive foods, right? I really love chia seeds, and like little chia puddings, right? So there are other mechanisms. In addition, actually, I am a big proponent. I always tell our customers that there might not be studies on this, but like, is your family drinking bone broth maybe every, couple weeks as a way to really boost up that collagen layer, right? So those are some of like the other things that I say, like looking into incorporating into that family diet.
Absolutely. You hit on a really good, and then like, I think there are little things, actually there were, with the probiotic. I always say this from a research perspective, because there's not always a ton of for more health modalities, but you can quantify your own tools available. So I mentioned our immunobiome. You can actually see, like, for one, pay attention to your body, see if your symptoms are changing and if you feel better, right? That's the biggest indicator of if something is working for you or for your child. If you really want to look at objective data, you can do the immunobiome analysis, right? So it's going to show you your 38% proteobacteria or 80% lactose, and when you introduce a new intervention or change or that positive, activity like bone broth, there not be published studies on it. You can retest and see for yourself after 6 months incorporating these lifestyle changes, dietary changes, like increasing those short chain fatty acids. That's a big recommendation we have for a lot of our patients when we do their individualized biome and recommendations, actually increasing chia seeds and pectin as well. And
Also, the fermented foods too. That study just came out from Stanford and a team of researchers there incorporating more fermented foods. And it turns out I've talked to families, actually people are like, oh, my kid doesn't like sauerkraut. Well, maybe some don't, but actually you can get kids to like fermented foods, believe it or not. If you introduce them early enough, and the fermented food thing, whether it's fermented carrots or fermented pickles, whatever it is, like those are just like little small things that you can do in your daily life that are actually nourishing and building that gut microbiome.
100%. And there are so many like interesting foods that you can ferment as well. So recently I tried making escabeche. So you can
Oh my gosh.
You can ferment broccoli and cauliflower and serve it with like organic quesadillas. And
Oh my gosh.
that's something I know any kid, they would have no idea that there is a fermented.
Yeah. I love that.
And so I'm super curious. Like, I know about your Get Started kit, but what other products do you think you've seen incredible results with customers that you have available?
Yeah, so actually right now we have only launched our first flagship product, which is the Kids Daily Prebiotic. That is this two ingredient mixture that parents really love, that it is only two ingredients and that they can know what those two ingredients are. A lot of what else is on the market is sometimes like these kind of longer things that you're not exactly sure what they are. Is it a filler? Is it a sweetener? You're just not sure. So far, this is the first product we've developed and launched. We are working on some really fun other kids nutrition products that are all gut focused. So whether that's, nutritional drinks or, nutritional little edible type things, those are things that are in the works at the moment, but we have not yet released. So stay tuned on that.
It's so exciting, and I'm curious, you're relatively new to me, and I've been brand champion for you the whole way, but
Oh, thank you so much.
do you have any like particular customer stories, you don't have to name them, that stand out in your mind?
Oh my gosh, so many. Every single day, we are blessed to receive like a new little note of a family that we've helped. And it sometimes, honestly, these stories like bring me to tears because it's just, the frustration and the challenges that families have faced for too long. Like we're talking, 4 and 5-year-olds who have had challenges since they were 6 months old, and now their child finally has relief. The funny ones are the ones where kids are like, "Mom, my poop slips out better now." So
Own words, right?
yeah, it's so cute. It's like it slips out. We're like, yes, that's what vegan does. It helps it to slip out. But there are a lot of stories, where kids have been in and out of the GI doctor for months, and the GI doctors are pushing Miralax, Miralax. You're constipated, okay, more Miralax. You were doing one, cupful, now do 2 cupfuls. And the families are just, they know that there's a different way and they want to find that other way. And so we've had just a tremendous amount of stories of kids who, it does, I will say for the harder cases, like vegan isn't meant to be a laxative. It's not meant to be for good reason, right? It's something that's really about nourishing that gut and we call it building and repairing that gut microbiome over time. And so some of those kids have been able to successfully transition off of those laxatives completely. Some have gone cold turkey. Some have had, a transition period, but they've ultimately been able to eliminate those laxatives, which is fantastic. And then we have other kids who, they will cry, they will go, they like to squat in the corner and they don't want to be seen. They're embarrassed because they know they're hurting. And then we hear those stories of kids who are proud to go to the bathroom and then they celebrate it. And so we are just so thankful to hear stories just like this where, parents are just relieved that they finally found something that really works for them and that they're proud of the ingredients that are in it. And we're proud of the ingredients that are in it. So those are some of the stories that we've heard, and we continue to hear more. And we're just so happy to be helpful because that's what we're here for. We say we're a partner to parents on their kids' poop journey. So it's very straightforward, and we are glad to help in that department.
That's so beautiful, and it just must feel incredibly rewarding to every day just be reminded of how impactful this is. And really the big difference is because begins fixing the root of the issue. So that's why children can actually transition off and don't need to be on a medication like Miralax, because our bodies are designed to work. Our bodies are designed, you're designed to be able to poop and eliminate your work. So if something is, inhibiting that and there's an irregularity or an imbalance in the gut bacteria, this is you're helping correct at a very primary level. And that's why I was so excited, Madeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, chat about how we can collaborate, how our audience can find you, and ultimately build awareness of health. especially in these early years, because it's a lot of the signals that parents are seeing, but maybe they're not sure what the root problem might be.
Absolutely. And I think, that's why for if any information that parents are interested in regarding the early gut microbiome years, we're definitely always available. We are always available via direct message. You can chat with our registered dietitians that are focusing on constipation. Our content at veganhealth.com is still growing, and so we're hoping to be able to release a lot more information, as more information also becomes available. So we look forward to chatting with those parents.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Madeline. Where can our audience actually find you on?
Yeah. So please head over to veganhealth.com, and we're, of course, on IG here, so follow us. We are very responsive via IG as well, believe it or not. And so, yeah, just drop us a DM, email us at care@veganhealth.com, and we will be there.
Awesome. Well, we so appreciated chatting with you. Thank you for helping us understand the difference of prebiotics, probiotics, actually how having a good balance of them can assist in helping your child go to the bathroom more easily.
Yes.
Some of that trauma, it's a scary experience when you're a little one and you don't know what's going on with your body.
Absolutely. That's why we always recommend have a party dance of it ready for after, your bowel movement. It's a happy bowel movement, and we always celebrate every single bowel movement. And so that's something that we always recommend to parents too.
I love that positive reinforcement.
Yes. Yes. Oh, thank you.
What we'll
Great to be in touch.
Oh, absolutely. And